So I want to show you guys how to use the random number generator. So C++ has a built-in random number generator function that you can use to basically generate a random number, right? So what can you use this for? So you can use this for all kinds of cool stuff, including games, right? So suppose you have to, I think in the book they want to simulate rolling 2 dice, something like that. So in that case, you probably want a random number from 1 to 6 or something like that, right? Because there's 6 sides to a die, right? But suppose you wanted to calculate a random number to simulate lottery thing. Did anybody win the lottery, by the way? Are y'all keeping up with that? The Mega Millions? It was up to like 1.6 billion or something like that, wasn't it? And I think last night they had a drawing. I forgot to buy a ticket, so I won't win. The odds of winning that are like 1 in 300 something million, I think. So I guess maybe I already won since I didn't buy a ticket. I didn't lose any money. So what if you wanted to do something like that? And you can use random numbers for all kinds of things, all kinds of applications. So let me show you how to do that in C++, and we'll talk about some things involved with that. I'm going to start a new project here. File, a new project, console project. Again, in Dev C++, you just can do a new file. I'll name this random number demo. All right. So I'm going to write a little program that demos this. Random number generator demo. I think that's pretty self-explanatory there. That's all I'm going to put. All right. So another application type of game would be like a card game. So how about we do that? So how many cards are in a deck of cards? 52, right? Not including jokers, right? So just 52 cards. So suppose you wanted to basically pick a random number. You wanted to generate a random number from 1 to 52. How do you do that? All right. So let's see here. I'm going to create an integer, and I'll just say of course this is kind of different, in order to really do some kind of card game, you have to deal with you probably want to keep track of what's the face and what's the value or whatever, right? But again, I just want to show the random number generator part. So I'm going to say, what is our card? Right? And so there's a random number generator function called rand. And so we could do something like this. We could say card is equal to rand, open and close parentheses. Okay? And what that will do is that will generate a random number from 1 to whatever rand max is. Rand max is this constant. If you want to know what it is, I can tell you real quick. I'm going to comment this out. And we'll probably get an error on this because we didn't include the right header function. Maximum random number. I think the name of the constant is rand max, something like that, or maybe rand underscore max. I'll find out. Again, we'll probably get an error here. Yep. And the name of the function that we need to include is, trying to remember where this is. I think this is in the C standard library. Yeah. So number include, the name of the file that we need to include is cstdlib. Hey, it worked. The maximum random number that it's going to generate is 32,767. It's going to generate a random number from, I think, from 0 to that number right there. Okay. And so to see it in action, we could do something like that. Card is equal to rand. And if you want to see what that is, I can say cout card and something like what the value of card is. I'm going to comment out that rand max line. Cool, so it generated a random number. It's 41, right? Check this out. If I run it again, it's still 41. So there's some peculiarities, I can't say that word very well, when it comes to the random number generator. And also, it just happened to be in the range that we wanted, from 1 to 52 or whatever, right? But we weren't guaranteed that. So again, it's going to give us a random number, random number from 0 to 32,767. So we need to set this random, we need to customize it a little bit. So here's how you do this. So you call the random number generator like that, and then you mod it by the number of values that you have, or the range that you want it. So I'm going to say card is equal to rand mod 52. That will actually give us a random number. I keep saying a random numerator. A random number from 0 to 51. Okay, that's going to return a random number from 0 to 51. It's 41 again. It's not very random, is it? But if we want that number to be from 1 to 52, we just have to add 1 to it. And so in the book, they actually show how to do that. So you just add 1 to it. Or sometimes they'll add it at the beginning. I think that's what I usually have done in the past. I'll say 1 plus rand mod 52, like that. So that'll give us a random number from 1 to 52. Okay. I can run it again. I actually got 42 this time because the random number was still 41, right? So obviously that's not very random, is it? I'm getting the same random number every time. So in C++, before you use the random number generator, you need to seed the random number generator and basically set it up. So here's how you do that. You do it before you use it. So I'll do it here. Say seed the random number generator. You say srand, and then inside of parentheses, some integer value. But you'll see, you can put whatever you want to in there. It'll say, 55 or whatever. But we're going to end up getting the same problem in that we'll get a different random number, but now we're going to get the same random number every time. It'll be different than it was before. So the random number was probably 10, so 1 plus 10 is 11. But again, if I run it again, I'm going to get that same random number. So that still is not very random, right? So what you need to do here to get this to work correctly, for it to really be random, is you need to seed the random number generator with something that's changing, with a number that's constantly changing. And so here's how you do it. There's this goofy function called in C++ called the time function that actually it returns the number, something like the number of seconds that have elapsed since some point back in 1980 or 79 or something. Let's see what it, forget what it actually says. I don't know if they mentioned in the book. But the point of it is that it's changing. And so you do it like this, you say time, and in the book they put 0 like this. That's a 0, not a letter O. I think I've usually just put null like that. And I think that does the same thing. So srand time null like that. And when you compile that, you might get an error on that one because it doesn't know what the time function is. And so there's one more header file that you have to add, and it's ctime. Ctime, like that. And then you can use the function. And now what that does is it basically randomizes the random number generator, is basically what it does. So now when I compile and run that, I should get different random numbers every time. Because that time null function is constantly sending out a different value. Does that make sense? So that's how you use the random number generator. First, you have to randomize. You have to seed it with a time null function to randomize it, and then you can generate a random number. From 1 to 52 or whatever. So if you just wanted to get a random number from 1 to 6, you would do it the same way. You'd say 1 plus rand mod 6 to get you a random number from 1 to 6. And that's what they did in the book. They simulated rolling 2 dice. And so they had 2 variables, die 1 and die 2. And they generated 2 random numbers. There was a Dilbert cartoon one time. Are y'all familiar with the Dilbert cartoon? No, you don't know Dilbert? Let me do a Google search for that one. So basically, Dilbert it's kind of like Office Space. You know, I've mentioned that movie Office Space before, but it's like an office environment, and you have developers and programmers and engineers and people like that who work there, and then you've got the manager who's over people, and but anyway, there was this one particular strip of Dilbert that had a random number generator, and so some of these little computer programs, there's like these little gremlin type creatures that are in the office as well, and the random number generator is one of those guys. Dilbert random number generator. Here he is. This was the one. Yeah, so tour of it. I'm not sure what was going on at that point. He's all messy. But it says over here we have our random number generator, and he's over here going 9999999. He's like, "Are you sure that that's random?" And he's like, Well, that's the problem with randomness. You can never be sure. But that's kind of what it made me think of at first. We were getting the same random numbers every time, right? So I always thought that was funny. All right, cool. Questions? So we might make use of that on future programs.